Let me preface this by saying I've never been one to believe in anything paranormal. I don't believe in ghosts, I don't believe in demons, I'm not overtly religious, I don't believe in cryptids like Bigfoot, Chupacabra or Nessie either. I do believe in aliens, but only because I firmly believe it's a mathematical impossibility that we're alone. However, something has happened that I simply cannot explain, and I believe I know what caused it, but proving it will be something else entirely. I'll start from the beginning. I don't party that frequently, it's just not my thing. I'd rather sit at home and play some games, or just have an evening out with my girlfriend. Crowds make me nervous, and I don't socialise well with others outside of work. Which is odd considering I'm in sales and socialising is a key part of my job. But last week, Steph talked me into going out with her. A co-worker of hers was attending some big rave, and Steph is all about new experiences. After an hour of driving through unoccupied countryside and back roads, we arrive at a large, abandoned barn. Thinking back now, it should have struck me as odd that it was abandoned and looked in such good condition. But my social anxiety was kicking in, and I was more focused on acting like a normal, party-going human being. Flash forward about 2 hours, and several drinks later, and we were hanging out in a small group of people off to the side of the dance floor, which is more just a jumbled square of drunk people who might as well have been having sex while dancing. In the midst of conversation, a random girl appears. She was maybe in her mid-20s, with dirty blonde hair, skeletally thin with sunken eyes. My drunken mind figured she was just on something, as this was a rave after all, and drugs were being passed around like candy. I did take notice that her clothing seemed oddly conservative. She was wearing black jeans, a plain black shirt, and a black hoodie, zipped up about halfway. "Do you have a phone I can borrow?" she asks. Her voice sounded odd, almost like a growl, but plenty of people have abnormal voices. Without thinking, I responded affirmatively and handed her my iPhone. She grabbed at it eagerly and wandered away a short distance. I turned back to my friends and continued my conversation. After a couple of minutes, I glanced over at her, received a bit of a shock. She had the phone to her ear, was speaking to someone, and staring at me. Unblinkingly, with her eyes so focused, I felt like she was staring into my soul. It was extremely unnerving. We stared at each other for possibly 20 seconds like that, all the while her still talking away. After about 10 seconds, I realized that the side of my head, around my ear but on the inside, was tingling and stinging. It started as a minor annoyance and gradually progressed to outright pain until suddenly it disappeared at the same moment she broke eye contact with me and took the phone away from her ear. She slowly walked over, handed my phone to me, and with a slight smirk on her face, but no words, turned around and disappeared back into the crowd. Slightly freaked out by this point, I turned to Steph and told her we needed to leave. She gave me a puzzled look, but after seeing the expression on my face, which I can only imagine was pretty scared, grabbed her purse without another word and walked with me back to the car. We got back to the house and crashed out for the night. After waking up the next morning, I realized that having had a few drinks probably made me more paranoid than usual. After all, she was just a harmless girl. A little creepy, but harmless, right? Well, I don't know. Over the last week, my phone has been acting odd. Sometimes Siri will fail to respond to commands. This is relatively new because I use Siri all the time. Once or twice, she's responded with the normal responses that make for invalid commands of, "I can't do that for you." Except these are commands she should recognize. I've also noticed my ears seem to be hurting a bit, but on the inside, almost like a pressure headache. It must just be an odd coincidence that it happens when I try and use Siri, but that's getting harder and harder to believe. I'm writing this though, because of something that happened last night. I was woken up about 3 in the morning. Steph was at her parents' house for the evening, so I was all alone. My ear was killing me. It felt like it was literally on fire. The pain was making my eyes water, and my phone was repeatedly making the beep beep sound it makes when Siri is activated. Once I got up from the bed, it stopped. But the screen was lit. I walked over and looked. It was on the Siri screen, and right there, on the screen, as plain as day, Siri's respond text read, "You've made a terrible mistake. You know that, right?" Waiting for a response. First update. I took the phone over to my local Verizon store this morning. I used to sell phones at this place a while back. One of my best friends manages it now. I had him look at it. Of course, you know how they say your phone always acts up until you take it to the store? Yeah, well, I'm no different. Nothing responded in any funny matter. Siri didn't activate on her own. I began to think maybe I imagined it trying to talk to me. After all, it was late. I was disoriented. I thought maybe I even dreamed it. Either way, he reset the phone, just in case it was glitched or something. I went home and took a nap, as I didn't sleep well at all after what I thought my phone had done the night before last. I woke up about 30 minutes ago. My shoes were on. I could have sworn I took them off before I fell into bed. But I was so tired I might have missed it. They have some mud on them. It got on my sheets. Add cleaning my sheets to the list of chores today. My pillow had some kind of odd black stain on it. It was sticky, like tar, but it stunk. Oh my god, it stunk. It's odd, but the only way I can describe that smell is like rotten fire. Like eggs that had gone bad and then been lit aflame. It made me gag. The source of it seems to have been my ear canal. But some kind of ear infection may explain why it's been hurting the last few days. That'll have to wait a few days though. I have more important things on my mind. I rolled over and grabbed my phone. I activated Siri so I could call Steph. And when I did, the most recent stuff from Siri popped up. There are no timestamps, but I don't remember any of this. Nobody has borrowed my phone today, and I most certainly didn't do this. I'm going to copy what's on here, from Siri and from whoever responded to her. Get up. I said, "Get up now," said Siri. "What do you want? What are you?" "In time, you'll find out. For now, you're going to have to do something for me." "My head hurts. What is going on?" "Relax. Let me in. It'll make the pain stop." "You can make it go away?" "It's because you won't let me in that it hurts in the first place. Just make it stop." And that's it. The conversation ended after that. There comes a point where you cannot try to rationalize things and explain them away anymore. Something is wrong. I know this. Something I can't comprehend is happening. All I know is that the pain in my head has increased tenfold. My eyes are watering just laying here. It's difficult to think, but I have drawn one conclusion. I've been thinking about that girl who borrowed my phone. Something didn't seem right with her. She was wearing clothing that was completely out of the theme for the party. It was a rave. She was dressed like the goth chick you knew in high school. And thinking back, her clothing looked really ratty, worn and dirty, like it hadn't been washed in some time. I know it's some kind of pipe theory, but I keep thinking about how well maintained that abandoned barn looked. Does she live there? This all started after she borrowed my phone. And this all seems to be emanating from that damn device. Maybe I should drive back out there, see if I can find her, or any kind of clue. Second update. It's morning, finally. I've been barricaded in my room for some period of time. I don't really remember when. Time is kind of fluid to me right now. I've been blacking out periodically, but I always woke up somewhere else. I'm not stupid. I'm sure I'm being possessed or controlled or something like that. Whatever it is doing it is smart enough to not wake me up in any place that I could even remotely glean an idea of what's going on. I'm always in a park or in an alley. My blackout episodes, they come and go in spurts. The calendar says it's only been about a day and a half since my last episode. But I check that on the phone, and I'm no longer inclined to trust anything it says. I can fight it from taking control if I want, but this is when the earaches and headaches start. Eventually, I have to give in. The pain just becomes too much. Sometimes I can go a couple hours, sometimes only a few minutes. When I do give in, it takes over. I've been in my room and fighting it off for a record 5 hours right now. It talks to me quite frequently now. Even if what it says most of the time is horrifying, I'm getting used to it. I find it comforting. How strange is that? I know I'm beginning to go insane. I'm sure you people are going to be freaked out. But you know what? Good. You should be scared. I don't know why it chose me, but it has big plans. Bigger than me. Bigger than any of you. If this thing has its way, we will all die screaming. I hear it in my head now, but it's the strangest thing. The conversations still appear on my phone screen, and it's occasionally branched out to other forms of electronics. My computer turned on about 20 minutes ago. It opened Skype on its own. A video call initiated. Whatever it was I spent a few minutes talking to looked like me, but its eyes were black, completely, all the way to the edge of the eyeball. And when it spoke, it sounded like several voices all saying the same thing at the same time. I don't remember what we discussed, but it was shortly after that I unplugged the computer from the wall. Powering the phone down does no good. It just turns itself back on. Oh, right. Why I am barricaded in my room. That answer is simple. The girl is in my house. Except I don't think she is a girl anymore, if she ever was in the first place. The thing in here with me wants to get out there to her. I can sense it. It hurls obscenities at me from the phone whenever she comes to my door. She never tries to force entry though. She just stands on the other side. I can hear her footsteps come up and stop right outside. She responded once or twice, but it was in a language I don't understand. Maybe Latin? She followed me back from the farm. I went out there to investigate for all the good it did. What's happening was going to happen regardless. but now I have an idea of why. I think that maybe worse overall, ignorance is bliss. When I arrived there, it was about 9 PM last night. There were lights on inside, so I walked in. I had been mad. I was tired of being frightened. I wanted answers. Inside, the main large room was in a similar state to when we left the rave, though entirely absent of people. After a little digging around, I found a ladder going down into a basement. Being a stubborn, foolhardy son of a gun, I went. When I reached the bottom, I turned around and saw the strangest sight. She was sitting in the middle of a medium-sized room, cross-legged on the floor with her back to me, completely naked. Circling around her was an odd array of electronic objects on tables. Computers, tablets, printers, cell phones. All of them were floating a few inches off the table, facing her, and all of them were saying different things. Some in languages I didn't understand, some in English. I caught a couple sentences from a tablet and a cell phone near me. Not long now, not much longer. Soon we rise. Pain, yes, we love it, we want it. Torture you, hurt you, make you scream, make you cry. Suddenly, every device slammed to the ground and shattered. Her head jerked up, and slowly turned around while her body remained motionless. Her eyes, they were as black as night. She grinned at me. Black, tar-like ooze seeped out from between her teeth. When she spoke, it was in a voice like no human I've ever heard. Low, guttural, almost animal-like. I expected her to explain what was happening to me, but she wouldn't, or couldn't. Instead, she just kept repeating, "Not long now, not long now, closer he comes, closer, closer, almost here, almost here." As she was repeating this, I felt the thing in me and in my phone become elated. It liked what she was saying. Suddenly, her face took on a shocked look. I noticed disturbances in the air, as if something unseen were rushing at her from all angles. Her voice began to take on many layers, as if many things were talking at once, all from her. I ran. I made it back here, knowing she was behind me the whole way. I barricaded myself in here. I'm updating this from my phone. I must want you people to hear, because it hasn't stopped me. But the pain is becoming too much. I'm going to have to give in at any moment. I don't know what happens from here. We shall see. It's going to take over at any moment. I want you to know, whatever happens, I didn't intend to cause harm. I'm sorry.
Nuol estopique, avies omniasine, omnibus, apic tua esc, usque, ad tempus, vos non postestis pugneri, ligio enim sumus, nos autem multi sumus. Nos autem multi sumus.